everyone, and welcome to the Blood and Pigment podcast. My name is Garrett Swader, and I am here with only Joseph.
Hello there. Am I going to get to monologue today?
You might. I think we'll have a lot of airtime for you to work through that.
Don't let me.
It's just funny. I was thinking before we got on here that we had like 50 people on last time, and then it's just me and you this time. So
Less talking over each other. It'll be nice.
yeah, more conversation style and less waiting for other people to finish to get a word in.
But summer's busy time, not just because of Summer Plunder, which is we're in the middle of right now, but I think Jason's on vacation, been in Washington, D.C. with family, and Dan's working late tonight. Fernando's, it's like he has a power outage with storm right now, and Riley has family in town. I think everybody's busy doing summer things, which is good.
Yeah, it's a busy time of year. A lot of people take vacations during July. I know my business that I work at, a lot of people have vacation days scheduled for July. So, especially we're doing this 4th of July weekend, so a lot of
That's right.
people
It
were
is
busy
fun.
this weekend.
Yep. A little bit slower week on the Summer Plunder stuff or entries because of 4th of July too, which was expected and good. People are spending time with family. That's good.
Although I did see on when I was doing pictures yesterday, and this was hilarious, but somebody played the game like on their 4th of July barbecue table.
Oh, nice.
They just had like random stuff from the table as terrain set up and
The
everything.
ketchup
So
bottle.
that,
Ah,
yeah. So they had a few boxes of things. It was great. That was great to see. I definitely put one of the pictures of that into like the best pictures of the week just because of the oddity of it.
I gotta see that. Yeah, thanks for helping with the pictures this year. Should we do a quick update on the Summer of Plunder?
Yeah. So this episode is going to be the cavalry episode. You're going to get sick of us talking about cavalry by the end of this episode. But this was suggested by one of our patrons at the level whatever that is that you can suggest videos and content from us. That was a pretty good suggestion, so we decided to do a podcast episode about it.
Yeah, it's a big topic, kind of corner topic of Blood and Plunder. Not everybody uses cavalry. Pirates don't use cavalry. You don't think of cavalry as being a big part of a pirate game, but uh, each nation kind of has their way to use it, and they're different. And it's kind of a weird part of the game. Plays quite a bit different. People have expectations. They don't always match with how cavalry works in the game, and so yeah, should be a fun topic.
Yeah, and like I've said before, I don't even really consider this game a pirate game.
Yeah, don't tell people that though. It's okay.
To me, this is an early colonial history game with pirates in it. So,
Yep.
but yeah, it's a super fun aspect of the game, I think. And if you're not into it yet, and you play one of these European factions, I think it's something that you should really try.
Firelock cavalry models are cool with their big full size horses instead of ponies.
Yeah, go ahead for your Summer of Plunder update.
As of recording this, we're ending the 5th week, so we're a little bit more than halfway done. Things seem to be going well. Lots of people involved in the Discord and groups. We're running a little bit higher attendance this year than last year, which is good. England has been kind of the biggest player base this time. A lot of players playing for England. They have their fun reputation system. I know Riley's been working hard on with different goals they're working with. Natives have been doing good the whole campaign, which is kind of fun to see. Natives are near and dear to my heart, and they have never done very well before. That's kind of cool. Natives, French, and pirates are the top three. I mean, they just switched up at the end of last week. That on the whole campaign system with the map and everything, the French went from third to first, and the natives went from first to third, and the pirates are holding steady at second place. Looks like, I don't know. You tell me from your Spanish Discord. This is just from reading the commander updates. Looks like the French have made themselves slightly odious to more than one nation. Is that ring true for you?
I've not really been paying attention to it all that much. So the commander updates. I've been enjoying my
Retirement.
Yeah. I know the Spanish and the French were supposed to be tight this year, and I know some I know some inside baseball stuff from the Spanish side, so I don't know if I want to say it out loud.
Yeah, don't do it.
I
Don't
don't know
spill
what
anything.
Josh has released, so I'd have to filter through all of that stuff that he's released before I spill the beans on any kind of stuff.
Yeah, as organizer, I'm trying not to look too much into people's national channels, except to just to oversee things. Actually, things are good, but not to know too much, so I can't spill anything by accident. But I was listening to the Arachne podcast. Dr. D up in, I think, New England is doing great podcast episodes talking to the different commanders of the Summer of Plunder, and has some good razzing to the French over there. But he had Eric for the English daddy, and Daniel for the pirates on. I hope he gets some more guests on before the end of the year, but that's a fun listen, so I recommend that podcast.
Yeah.
Garrett and I have been doing the pictures. Every entry that comes in, we look over, make sure everything's good, and then pull some of the best pictures of the entry into folders, and so we can feature them in updates in the blog. And that's a good bit of work, and I appreciate your help with it this year, Garrett. But we see some of the inside information, so be careful of that as well.
Right.
It's a kind of a fun inside view on all the different people playing Blood and Plunder everywhere, groups and their terrain and their miniatures. See returning people, their miniatures look better and more painted than last year. What have you been seeing besides ketchup bottles and those pictures the last couple of weeks?
Lots of sea games this week, because of the fickle sea, and doing shoals. I think that was the challenge.
Yeah.
To be honest, sometimes it's with pictures. Sometimes it's frustrating, and sometimes it's really awesome because
Yeah.
you get some entries that just have like 15 pictures of the same picture, and I'm like, why did you upload the same picture over and over and over again with just like slightly different angles?
Yeah.
But it's just you just throw them in a file though, and pick the best one and move on.
But there's some good ones too.
There are some really good ones.
I've been enjoying the Port Royal pictures that kind of have some cinematic elements to them with the rampaging alligators and one-on-one duels between commanders and the little forces set up. Fun to see the 7, 8, 10 models all the Port Royal force. It's been fun to have that game part of the campaign this year.
Yeah, been seeing a lot of those. Eric did a scenario for this week for Port Royal, and so I've been seeing a lot of alligators and sharks and things
That's
on
what's
the
up.
Port
Okay.
Royal tables. So I think that was directly from that scenario.
Yeah, there's enough going on in Summer of Plunder. I mean, there's several layers. There's your local group. There's your faction. Your nation might have special objectives or something. Your game might have different objectives every week for the whole campaign. And sometimes, yeah, like it's fun to see those patterns.
The pictures so far have been fantastic. One of the enjoyable things I said one frustrating thing about the pictures, but I will say one of the enjoyable things is like seeing everybody's tables. Like I like seeing other people's tables and the way they set them up, and I get kind of ideas from that, and I say, oh, that's cool. I'm file that away to if I work on any other projects, I might, I'm stealing ideas basically.
Thank you.
But it is really cool to see everybody's different setups and everything and what people are working with terrain and stuff. And then of course like ship paint jobs and things.
Yeah, miniature paint jobs, ship paint jobs. Yeah, I highly recommend you check out the updates. Sometimes they're kind of long. You can just skip over whatever you're boring, but we work hard on the updates. Jason does a map update with kind of the narrative update where nations are competing against each other with how the map is changing, what people decide to do as far as attacks, defense, raids, etc. And that's usually Tuesday. And then Wednesday or Thursday we get out, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we get out the kind of player and picture update, commander update, where all the commanders of the nations write something.
I need to get with Jason, or I need to read and see if he's actually been putting the Spanish this year have implemented something sort of similar to the English system, but we have armadas this year. We have like teams within teams that we give missions to the different armadas to go out and attack. So I wonder if he's been putting that in the Spanish attack updates. If he hasn't and he needs that information, like I could give him that information on like which armadas are attacking where, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love that. He's been looking through the entries and trying to personalize it. And if you see somebody attack one thing a whole lot, been pulling that in, putting a personal reference in there. So he's been doing good hard work to try to make those as entertaining and personable as possible. So if you have time and enjoy it, or you should check it out, see if you enjoy it. And then I'm doing those other updates with all the pictures and some stats from the campaign. And like this week, I put just a bunch of pictures of ships doing broadsides with cotton. Everybody's on the cotton train now. So I just collected a bunch of pictures there, some stats about what's getting played and things like that. And the commanders do a great job doing updates featuring players from their groups as well. Greg, especially for the pirates, does an amazing job. So I hope you're enjoying that. And we still got 4 weeks to go on the Summer of Plunder. So if you haven't jumped in yet, you still can. The Discord is pretty lively. You can find Invite Anywhere. The tab on the menu tab on bloodandpigment.com has a bunch of different stuff for Summer of Plunder, kind of the rules, the entry form, the update kind of gathering page. You can see all the different updates for the campaign. We got a special event running. Actually ends today, but a couple different special events and stuff. So, and Dan's been shipping prizes like a maniac too. That's good. Been appreciating his help with that part of things. Oh, here's a quick update. Firelock Games just pledged $400 more prizes for the event, from $800 to $1,200 from them. So I have to figure out how to give more stuff to you guys. So watch out for that.
Send more ships.
Yep, I was thinking a couple more ships would be really fun. Send out.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, if you're on the fence about jumping in, just get on the Discord and like ask around about groups in your area too. I know that's been a big push last few Summer of Plunders, is to get more local game stores involved and get them going with communities, and that's been really my super big focus this year, is to get my community at my game store really into Summer of Plunder this year, and so far it's been really good. We've got a map in our store that's got the weekly updates. I will go in and physically change the different logos on the map as it happens.
That's so cool.
The last couple of weeks, it's been frustrating because the update has been late, and
you meet on Tuesday
Tuesday,
night, don't you?
I do it Tuesday night, and I can't do it. So I think it's sitting right now. I did not update it last week, and hopefully I'll be able to update it this Tuesday. So
sorry about that. Yeah,
nah, that's fine.
yeah. Jason was traveling and he got most of it done, but then just had to. Can't destroy personal life. We try to do our best, but sometimes reality is the limit.
Oh yeah.
A game is only a good game if there's people to play with. So yeah, getting those local groups, connecting people that are within driving distance, so you can actually play some games against real live people.
Mm-hmm.
Part of a game community, and we hope Plunder can help a little with that.
It has been awesome to see the people doing Tabletop Simulator this year too.
Oh yeah.
If you do absolutely have nobody else to play with, you can jump on Tabletop Simulator and find a little bit of a community there.
And Dread wrote a guest post on Blood and Pigment, kind of explaining how it works. He made a good video too. There's I don't know Tabletop Simulator very well. I have used it, but there's I don't know what they call it, packet download module for Blood and Plunder mod. Okay, that you can bring in a bunch of the stuff you need to play, and there's active community there. Have more time at home than out and abroad or people not close. That can be a really good option. We should really put a channel in the Firelock Games Discord that people could connect for that. They're doing it in the Summer Plunder right now, but should be there too.
Yeah, and it's a way too for people to try the game before, if you can't get out to a convention, if nobody's around you that can do a demo, you could probably get on Discord and say, "Hey, can somebody do me a demo on Tabletop Simulator?" And I guarantee you somebody would jump on there
Yeah,
with you and run you a
for
demo.
sure.
So
Seem to be
I
real
think
great
it's a
guys.
great tool for community growth.
Mm-hmm. As long as you're comfortable with Tabletop Simulator, sometimes it can be a frustrating experience if you've never done it before. And this kind of miniatures game, you got to be pretty. I assume you got to be kind of careful with your,
Yeah.
not to flip the whole table on its head like I do.
Why do they have that button?
At least I have a back button.
Yeah. Okay, so do we want to move to hobby desk stuff?
My hobby desk is short. I finished my cook. That's it.
Awesome. Hey, progress is progress.
yeah. Yeah, I've been traveling a little bit too and trying to keep up with Summer Plunder and read some books and do family things in the evening. So need to get back on the painting desk. I have a bunch of maroon sitting there. 2/3 done, but we'll get there. But you're way ahead of me. You've been doing awesome.
I've been trying. I've started this coming September. There's a club that does historical random games. Pillage had been on my radar, a new Dark Age miniatures game, and they're going to do a Pillage game. So I had Viking and Norman miniatures, so I'm painting those right now a little bit more than Blood and Plunder stuff. I still finished my July miniatures just before July got here, and so now I'm working on my August miniatures. They are French militia. I've got 4 of them working, and then I've got 4 boucaniers, the female boucaniers.
Those are fun.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm painting now, in addition to my Dark Age stuff. So I've got a lot of stuff that I'm trying to get finished.
That should be fun. Looking forward to seeing those.
Other hobbies, I ordered a musket. I can't remember if I said this on the last episode or not, but I'm super excited about this. But I ordered a musket and a pistol for my reenacting. So
Nice.
that will be fun. It's a matchlock musket. It's a fishtail. Looks very English Civil War style. I got to decide, and I may email them to be like, hey, is this thing going to be heavy enough for me to want to use like one of the stands for it, or is this going to be light enough for me to just pick up and hold? If it is heavy enough for me to use a stand for it, I'll have to get a stand somewhere, but hopefully it's one that's light enough to hold. I didn't really even think about that beforehand, but either way, the musket I really feel like is going to be more of a Drake's Raid thing because it's a matchlock, and I'm hoping they come through with the Buccaneer gun before the next Cyril's raid.
All right, cool.
I'm supposed to be on the list for when they get those back in, and they're supposed to be getting them back in imminently. So
cool.
Hopefully they call me soon.
I'm jealous. Hey, yeah, I might see you in the next couple of weeks here if I'm traveling, but you probably won't have them by then, will you?
No, I probably won't.
Bummer.
I'm expecting to have those probably in at the latest like November, I think.
Oh, okay. Could be a while.
It turns out, it being the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War, everybody that does reproduction old muskets is
I'm kinda
really
busy.
swamped right now. Yeah.
Makes
So
sense. How's your gaming been? Any remarkable games, one way or the other? Glory or shame to report on?
we had a Fickle Sea game this past Tuesday that was really fun. It was originally I had thought we were going to have a lot more people than we did. We still had 6 people show up for a Tuesday night, which was fantastic.
That's about right for the scenario, to be honest.
I had told one guy that he's just starting out and doesn't have a lot of stuff painted, and I don't think he's done a lot of sea stuff. I was like, I'm gonna bring a galleon. I'm gonna put a lot of musket guys on it, and I'm gonna bring you a 200 point list that's basically just guys, artillery crew and artillery, and you're just gonna run the artillery on the galleon.
Nice.
And that's what we did. And I had envisioned there being 3 to 4 players against us with 200 point lists, because the galleon's pretty stout.
Yeah, hard to cut through.
Give them 1 to 2 extra lists, and they may beat us. They may not. I don't know. It's hard to balance the galleon sometimes. But what wound up happening is, since we had only 6 players, I said, okay, 2 of the other most experienced players, I said, okay, we had a 6th rate there. You guys do the same thing on that 6th rate. And then the other 2 players, let's just have them run 200 point lists and just be like support ships.
Yep.
And of course, the 2 support ships got absolutely battered because the way they had set up and everything. I was just like, well, the support ship is right where we can hit it, so I'm just gonna slam it. And then our support ship set up in the back, which is where their big ship could hit it. So it's kind of funny. But eventually, towards the end of the game, the big ships started trading blows, but the little ships were having a rough time with it.
Yeah. Placement is really important in a fleet game like that, because if you place in the wrong spot, you're either out of the action or you just get double teamed. Or we just played the Fickle Sea scenario from the Summer Plunder Packet 2, and we should talk about what that is. Yeah, one player played, they did side by side, but they were on the right flank, and then they turned left, and then one player was screened by the other player most of the game, which kind of doesn't work. So you gotta be careful. Big games, otherwise you goof it up.
That's always rough when you've got a teammate that just kind of like comes right in front of you, and you're like, dude, I can't do anything now because you're right in front of me. Thanks.
I'm gonna board you so I can play.
Right. I'm switching sides.
So the scenario is a fleet game. It's pretty straight up, except so it's just 2 teams across the table, forfeit table. And this win starts at +1, and then every turn before the turn starts, you roll in the win table to see if something happens, which can be anything from a temporary lull to a gust to a permanent downgrade of the wind to a permanent upgrade of the wind to a wind change direction on the table, or the 9 and 10, I think, you get to decide any of these options, or the enemy gets to decide any of these options. So it can be pretty chaotic, or it can be kind of just back and forth. It can be a very different game depending on just die rolls. How did yours turn out with the wind?
Ours turned out, nobody got really caught out by the wind, but our wind did change like quite a few times. I think the team that got caught out the worst was actually my team, because my galleon started windward, and just immediately when we rolled right before first turn, the wind shifted, and I was like, crap, I'm in the wind's eye now. So and the galleon can't really turn like at all. And so you're
turn
just
2.
Yeah, and we were there was something about what we were doing that I couldn't turn to for some reason. I can't remember what it was.
Do you have any obstacles on the board?
No. Well, we had one shoal in the middle, but it didn't really play that much of an effect.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I was turning 1. Was it because I had my sail setting lower or something? That might have been it.
At the beginning of the game, the wind starts at +1, so it's usually prudent to start with your sail setting a little bit lower so you accommodate for that. But if the wind then changes.
So I think it was, I had my sail setting lower, and then it was like, if I was wearing or whatever I was doing, it had to be like the lowest turn. Or anyway, I was turning out of the wind's eye just 1 inch at a time, and so that was fun.
That'll take a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, I think I was just barely in the wind's eye at the beginning, and then I turned, and then I was windward, and then it was like, okay, well I can only turn 1 inch since I'm windward or something.
That's when you
Anyway,
need that sailing master to get that extra inch of speed just to get you out of a tight spot.
but yeah, the wind changed I think 2 more times, but it was all not as bad as that time.
First one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wind change can make a big difference. Just ask Dan in his 2024 Adepticon Inferno. I'm sure he'll be happy to talk about it.
I think he has.
Well, I think he has. Who won? Who won your game?
It was pretty inconclusive at the end. I think the other team won just because, or I say the other team won just because both support ships were pretty equally damaged, and I think my galleon was actually a little more damaged than their sixth rate.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave the victory to them.
Nice. Yeah, we did the same scenario this last week with 7 players. So we did 4 players at 150 versus 3 players at 190, I think. And some of the more experienced players on the... It was a good mix on the less side, just because I had to ask them to change up their list. We thought we were going to have 8. We played on a big board, a 4x12, but I put a bunch of the fat mat table war islands on the corners and a bunch of shoals. So we had some obstacles to work around, which was kind of crazy. It can get a little chaotic with that many players. Did the group activation system. I played the Passamaquoddy, the Wabanaki version that can sail size 2 ships, and the Passamaquoddy have sailors, so I could I chose a bark too. It's kind of terrible. But I got smashed by Dawn's English artillery, and he hit me pretty hard, and then hit me again, and then I got boarded by the French, and I was kind of in the middle. I kind of got double teamed. Yeah, big groups games can get crazy. But I did pretty good holding my own against the French boarding party, and eventually I just took their ship over because my ship had too many leaks, so I just moved from one ship to the other. Right before that, I got raked. There was a good moment earlier in the game, though. I had all my muskets, my big unit of Braves, shoot at the English artillery crew. I could see them coming up with their medium cannons, and barks don't like medium cannons. I was going to get pulverized.
Mm-hmm.
So I shot at really close range with my marksman and I think I had 9 guys in my unit. My commander, I had ball and shot. I rolled 5 10s with ball and shot, and I got like 8 hits on his 8 guys. There was 3 guys saved, and there was 2 cannons left, so he could shoot them. And then he blasted me to Kingdom Come. Most of my guys saved, but my ship had a leak. And then I shot another couple guys, and he had like 1 or 2 guys left, and he was able to, while I was grappled, go up right behind me with his 1 medium cannon and my ship, get 3 critical hits on it and more leaks, and it started to leak. But I was able to jump into the next guy's ship. But that was pretty crazy. It was fun. Jason, at the different Jason with his Spanish Armada de Barlavento had all his pokey stick guys, the Marineros Piqueros, do some nasty things to the English Buccaneers. I had a Portuguese list. My buddy Brian's played Portuguese this year for the Dutch, and he got kind of peppered away by English. It was a good game. It takes a while, and yeah, we ended up, the smaller team won some strike points because one ship was totally cleared, so you get like 6 strike points when that happens, basically. So it's like 6 strike points to 8 for the teams, but yeah, it's always a bloody mess. But it was entertaining. The wind did play a pretty big part too. It's fun.
I want you to tell the one guy that plays Portuguese for the Dutch to read a history book. That doesn't make any sense.
They didn't get along. The week before that, we did a tournament. We got 8 people together for a tournament, 250-point C tournament. It was a good bit of fun. 3 rounds, and I'm going to release a report on that if you're interested in kind of it's always fun to see what lists are doing well, what people are playing, how they build their list at a competitive environment, just because people take a little more care. So I'll release a blog post for that next day or 2 here. I played Indians again, trying to have numbers. I played Yamasee, which is kind of the Spanish aligned tribe in the southeast. Africans, actually, if I remember correctly, went south and kind of were kind of protected in a way, sort of by the Spanish, and they were happy to have. It was kind of helping them against the English because if slaves escaped, they join the Yamasee sometimes and kind of be a buffer between the English and the Spanish. Anyway, that Ruthless, I did a fleet of canoes, 5 canoes. I forget which, 4 or 5, and one Prague with muskets and a lot of Ruthless warrior archers, which are really fun because they have a 5 shoot, and then if you get Ruthless to trigger, you can shoot a long ways because you get your shoot down to 4. So I did pretty well. I got 2 wins and 1 loss. So came in, I think, 2nd place if anybody's counting. Good games. Got a lot of people from Seattle to come down. Really happy, I think, join and make the drives and put it up in a hotel the night before. Really appreciate their coming the extra mile literally to join the event. Adam Horton won the event with a resin sloop with medium cannons, just wrecking people. He was playing really well.
That's a bread and butter list.
Yeah, and his brother got 3rd place. He beat Brad, French Buccaneers. He wrecked me with those filibusters, just mangled my whole command. Parago with sometimes those ball and shot things really trigger. If you get he had a unit of 12 filibusters, and he hit me with 10 hits, and 5 of them were ball and shot, and rolled another several hits. Mess. Yeah, everybody's playing really well. Some newer players are doing well, picking up the rules. Geek Games, my home store, hosted, and we handed out some gift certificates from them. So it's a good event, and I got some good wins. I played Riley, and I was mean to him with my ruthless arrows. He was playing English Searle, but we played that chases in scenario where you take 2 fatigue tests at the beginning of the game, which just really sets up my list to do well with my ruthless arrows.
Yeah.
At one point, all his guys were shaken in his ship. He was playing a Searle torpedo boat kind of thing where he Forlorn Hope and Interplogue, and if he gets near you, it's just massacre. But so many arrows at him. I felt dirty.
That's okay.
But yeah, my 2 wins were complete board wipes, and then my 1 loss. Once I get fatigue on me and I can't shoot my muskets anymore, all I can do is shoot arrows. It starts to spiral pretty badly.
How many people were at this tournament?
8.
Okay.
Yeah, enough to feel like a real event. Everybody got to play different people for every round. That's kind of what you want, at least.
Yep.
There was a couple games that just were a little short because some devastating things happened, like a rake or 2 rakes in one game or something. So it's always a bummer to have a game end short, but there was some that went full length. I've been reading a cool book I want to share real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I want to hear about it.
The Resurrected Pirate, The Life, Death, and Subsequent Career of the Notorious George Lothar. Just a great book. Got some new research. Lothar is an interesting guy, kind of a longer pirate career, pretty successful. And it looked like, some big fails too, and pretty well documented. Craig Chapman's the author here. Really good book. Just came out last month. Good read, well written, well researched, and he kind of has this theory. He didn't really lay out all the evidence, but he just went with it that Lothar, people think he got marooned on an island and hunted by the Spanish and English, but nobody ever caught him, and they found somebody dead on the island. They thought it was, but this George Lothar pops up living in the Spanish Main later, and then works with the English, including some that were hunting him earlier, like 20 years later. And he says he is a former pirate. So this author says it's got to be the same guy, which is kind of new idea, new research. And he points out that a lot of pirate historians don't talk to or don't delve into other historical eras like Jenkins' Ear, the War of Jenkins' Ear. So some of these connections are missed because of how specialized pirate history research is. Anyway, it was a delightful book, a pretty easy read, lots of good footnotes if you're into that sort of thing. Almost novel-esque, but not quite. So highly recommend that. It is probably material for the If a Pirate I Must Be project for Blood and Plunder somewhere along the line. It would be a pretty great campaign opportunity for a linked set of scenarios focusing on his career. So cool book.
Cool. Have you read the Dutch Moment?
Yes.
Okay. That is the book that I recently finished audio book listening
Okay.
to.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah. It was hard to port over directly into Blood and Plunder mind space just because it's such a. It covers like the 16th, early and up to mid 17th century, basically a
Yeah.
little bit after, but it looks at the whole Dutch Empire from the Indies, East Indies, and then America. But it's not really very chronological necessarily. It kind of looks at different places, was my feeling reading through. So it was
Yeah,
kind of
and I don't
hard to connect all
remember
the dots.
was it super focused on the East Indies? I really think it was more focused on the West Indies.
It was, but it touched on the East
Okay.
Indies as well. So just yeah, a lot of good stuff, but and it wasn't chronological. It mentioned people from 1540 and then 1650, and it was kind of all over the
Yeah.
place. It wasn't organized in a way for me to easily digest, but I need to review it again at some point, but it is a good resource.
Yeah, I thought it was a good listen. It had a lot of good information stuff in there that I had never heard about. A lot of good stuff about the Portuguese Dutch wars in Brazil,
Yeah, pretty big deal.
which was huge. Yeah,
A lot of
for the
people went there to
Dutch.
die.
Yeah, and it didn't really work out for them. That was
No,
kind of the linchpin that they bet the house on in the West Indies, and it just didn't work out, and that's
yeah,
kind of where they crumbled away.
third rate, yeah, empire.
Yeah.
I have a couple big books looking and small books looking at different Dutch topics that could be fun for Blood and Plunder. I just like reading. But yeah, everybody knows. Lots of people want more Dutch. The Dutch are doing really good in Summer of Plunder, second most played faction nation, which is crazy.
Yeah. People like the Dutch.
Mm-hmm. Good reason. They're good.
The book I'm listening to now is a Columbus book, so I just
Ah,
completely switched gears.
yeah. Quick peek behind the curtain from Firelock Development. Not tons of updates here. The Rise of Buccaneers project is in the works, but we kind of slowed by other things Firelock's having to deal with. Per usual, probably not in July Kickstarter, but it is happening. Lots of fun models to look at. Book is pretty well solidified as far as I know. Some fun models, some long-awaited models. Some people will be eager for. It should be fun. And a lot of fresh takes on old units, which would be really fun to have some new minis on the table. And then If the Pirate I Must Be, that kind of Atlantic pirate, West Coast to Africa, George Luther Bartholomew Roberts kind of project is coming back to the surface as far as what's getting worked on. And that's all I should say.
Yep.
But I'd love to see more Blood and Plunder stuff come out.
I'm super excited for the Rise of Buccaneers.
Me too. I think it'll be really fun.
I feel like that it will get out eventually. Like with everything Firelock does, hiccups make things difficult, but just have patience. I feel like it will come out eventually.
I'm just eager to play some more 17th century Buccaneers. I like that. That's really the core of Blood and Plunder for me.
Yeah, it is. That's my favorite.
And a quick mention of new stuff in our Blood and Pigment shop. Got a couple new cool coins up there, and we're putting up the Baron of Dice. They approached us to see if we wanted to carry their cool Blood and Plunder dice in our shop, so we're doing that. So those look cool to you, and they are cool. We're gonna do a review post. I guess we should mention that too. Post reviewing those dice. They're making custom dice for Blood and Plunder and Oak and Iron for each nation, which is super cool. They're the nice dice, so watch for those. And you can roll the dice for the cavalry. There's our segue.
Oh, yes. The cavalry saves will fail you.
That's right.
But yeah, cavalry. We kind of touched on this at the top, but cavalry's kind of one of those things where I think when people get into Blood and Plunder, this is like a thing that they're like, "Oh, that's cool, but I'm not going to do that yet because it seems complicated," or like I don't want to get the models for that yet. I want to focus on like sea, or I want to focus on just like normal land lists. And so it's one of those things where I don't think people really there's a section of the community that really loves cavalry, but not everybody plays with cavalry, or that's just a thing that they aspire to do someday is play cavalry. I know in my gaming group there's a few people that are like, "Oh yeah, I want to do cavalry sometime, but I gotta get the models, or I don't know what list to make or whatever." So hopefully this will help you.
Or I have also seen somebody, the models are cool and they're very impressive on the board. They look great. So people buy them, build them, paint them, and then play them. And like, that did not go how I expected. What's going on here? So they're surprised. So yeah, we thought we'd just go over how cavalry works in the game, where you can use it, tips for using it effectively, talk about the different factions that can do well with it and subtleties, and maybe some of the tiny rules to be aware of, especially a couple errata things that are easy to miss if you don't keep up with all, which is very low. Not very much errata in this game, but there is some that is helpful to keep up on.
Yeah, especially if you play competitively. But
Should mention they've kind of come back to the forefront a little bit more recently because last year, beginning of last year, they got a No Peace Beyond the Line, the expansion that contains all the cavalry units, got an errata that lowered all the points of cavalry because they weren't providing quite as much power as nobody was playing them because they weren't good enough.
yeah,
It comes down to it. So everything went down a point, which is considerable in Blood and Plunder when your points are between 3 and 6, basically. So moving down is a big change. So now they're a lot more competitive. Still need to know what you're doing to use them, but a lot of fun now.
yeah, I've seen people run cavalry lists in tournaments and have done really poorly, but at the same time, I've seen cavalry do super well since the points change.
I've seen cavalry hordes do unspeakable things to people.
I still want to do that sometime. We said we were going to at Adepticon, but we never got around to it.
That's right. We're gonna do the horde.
Yeah, see how powerful that actually is. I've had people tell me that it's no big deal, but I'm just like, I don't know. It seems like a big deal.
Yeah, any swarm is not easily dismissed.
Right. So, basics of cavalry. The big advantage you have is your movement, of course. And that goes without saying, really. You're on a horse, your movement is going to be far and away better. Most of the time that's represented by quick.
But before that, every mounted unit just gets a free move.
Right. Yeah.
Besides quick, so they activate on a club or a diamond, doesn't matter. They get a free move.
They'll get a free move, and free action does not count towards your 8-inch range limit fatigue if you move
Right.
over 8 inches. So all of your free actions, free move actions will not count towards that. So if you do activate and have, say, 2 actions on your cards, you can move to go 12 inches for free.
And then if you have quick, you can go again. Yeah.
And if you have quick, you can go again. All of them have pretty bad shoot saves.
That's their weakness that has made a lot of people look in horror as that big unit of 6 models, which isn't a big unit. But the bodies are so big, it looks like a big unit, get destroyed by one volley. Yeah, their shoot saves are bad.
Yeah, if you hang them out to dry, they're going to melt.
Yeah. It's a big target.
Most of them have an 8. A good cavalry shoot save is a 7. Like, there's very few that have a 7, though.
Yeah. So the glass cannons overall, they're hit hard and they can launch a long ways, but if they get shot, they don't like it.
And most of the time, though, with cavalry, another advantage they have is they'll have abrasive pistols and they'll have pretty decent fight stats. So once they do get into charge, they do good work. But it's that leaving them out to dry and then like knowing when to go is the real crux of it.
For sure. Other parts, if you look in the rule book for the equipment section, it talks about what special rules you have for being mounted. They cannot be pursued. If you're in melee and you get shaken, you can retreat, but nobody can actually run after you. Faster than you, nobody wants to run after a running horse kicking them in the face. So that's an advantage. And they may leave combat. They can just turn around and go away. Usually in Blood and Plunder, once you're in melee only way to get out of that is to die or to kill them or to get shaken or to shake your enemy. But the cavalry can just take a move action away, which is pretty big. They do get a penalty when moving through rough terrain. Additional penalty. You usually get a 1 inch penalty. Cavalry get an additional penalty. They don't like going through bushes and trees and stuff, which means they only can move 2 inches per move rough terrain, except when you're charging, they can still move 3 because units have a 3-inch control zone. You have to charge them at 3. Couldn't charge them at 2. They can't enter structures. They can't climb. And you cannot shoot a musket when you're on a horse. And you cannot be deployed using the lay in wait rule. And you can dismount with a standard action, and you may never mount again. And those are the special rules for being mounted beyond the unit's normal special rule. Most cavalry in Blood and Plunder is inexperienced, but there is a couple trained units that can. All the inexperienced can be upgraded to train for extra points, and there's a couple units that start at train that can be upgraded to veteran. Inexperienced effectively isn't that much different than trained in a lot of ways, because you really want to activate on a spade if you can to get that value of quick, get your moving around a lot faster.
Right.
So inexperienced is okay. Trained is only marginally better. If you have to activate on something else, you get other actions. And then veteran is super good because you get 2 actions automatically. But it's not that bad to be inexperienced.
Yeah, inexperienced with an officer
Mm-hmm.
is really nice because you get that benefit of you almost have a veteran spade as long as you have inexperienced with an officer.
Right. But with officers costing 10 points, yeah, if you can't get to veteran, the officer pretty much gets you there straight from inexperience, which is a good deal.
Yeah. Officer, or if you're in certain factions, you can take a Hidalgo
Mm-hmm.
or a Reformado in even fewer factions.
Yeah.
Will get you there for extra charges, and that's usually that's what you usually use them for, is those extra charges. As far as weaponry goes, most of them have brace of pistols. That makes them a lot shorter range in ranged combat, but brace of pistols are really good in melee. You can reroll misses if you use them to fight. They can also take carbines if you want a longer range shoot to get around that musket penalty.
Some of them have lances. We'll talk about that in a bit. A good melee weapon,
Mm-hmm.
although questionable in some ways. Brace of pistols is awfully nice all the time.
Brace of pistols on a horse is really nice. Yeah, you can also take armor. Armor will allow you to reroll 1s on your saves. With cavalry, that's kind of it's kind of not great, but it is cheap. You know, you roll 5 saves, you get 1/1. Looking for 8s or 9s. If you reroll the 1, you're likely not going to get a save anyway. So it's one of those things. It is good against arrows, just because you're usually looking for a lower save anyway, because the arrows give you a -3 to your save. So when you're, and that makes sense. Armor against arrows seems like it would be a lot better. So in the game, it is. It's one of those things. If I feel like if you're looking for just anything to put 2 points into your list, it's probably not bad to take, but it's also kind of meh to me.
If it saves 1 more of your models, it's paid for itself twice over, but it really might not. But it
May
makes a
not,
difference
yeah.
in melee as well. So melee and shoot saves, so it could hit.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Some of the cav that save on 6s on in melee could
Yeah.
could use it. So yeah, I hadn't considered that actually.
Before we move on to looking at the details of cavalry, we wanted to touch on a couple of the slight adjustments that came about from the errata 1.4, just little rules adjustments that make a difference, that balance cavalry a little bit, especially with their reduced price. Do you want to hit those?
Sure. So you can't double charge if you choose to not follow a shaken unit. What you would do in this case is charge in with cavalry. You would shake the unit. The unit would have to move 4 inches away from you. and you would have actions left over, and you'd say, "Well, I'm going in again. I'm charging you again."
If you choose not to follow up.
Right. Yeah. If you choose not to follow up, which is always a choice that you have when a unit goes shaken and runs away from you in melee, you can not continue to be in melee combat with them, but now you cannot charge them in additional time if you choose not to follow up with them in melee combat.
Which is super powerful because normally fight is dedicated action. So once you charge somebody, you can't immediately fight again. But if you shake them and then charge them again, it's pretty much a board wipe, and it's kind of gaming around the core principles of the rule where you can't fight too many times in one action.
To the letter of the rules, shaken units don't get melee saves, so charging them again in melee would be crazy. And then a lot of people play with the optional rule of shaken units get a save on a 9.
Yeah.
So
that's still rough.
even still, that's rough.
And the Skirmishers update kind of did the similar thing with that rule.
Skirmishers was a little more gamey, I think. I don't know.
Skirmishers, if you shoot or fight somebody after moving, you can get a free action and move away.
Move back to your original position.
Yeah, so the gamey way to do this is you charge somebody, and then you use Skirmishers to withdraw, and then you charge them again, which is, again, that idea of double charging. That was being used on Cavalry. A lot of Cavalry have Skirmishers, so watch out for that. Don't do that, because now it's illegal.
If somebody does it to you, call this number. No, I'm just joking.
Errata 1.4.
Yeah.
All right, should we talk about really the math of the speed of cavalry? That's kind of the biggest thing. We touched on a little bit already. But you can cover a lot of inches. Mostly, in most units, can only move about 8 inches. Normal, everyday play with the normal units without horses, 8 inches is pretty much as far as you can move, up to 12.
Yeah, unless you want to take fatigue, which sometimes you do want to. Sometimes you're like, I got to get there.
Basically, you get the free move, plus almost all cavalry have quick, which is an extra move on a spade. Plus, if you activate on a spade, you get 1 action. So that's 3 there already. That's up to 12 inches. And then if you have a command point, you can go another 4. Then you've used 8 inches of real actions. So no fatigue yet, even though you've already gone 8 inches with quick and your cavalry. So that's up to 16. And then if you do any shooting or charging, and skirmishers apply, skirmishers, but that gives you that free move back after you do an offensive action. So that's up to 20 pretty easily. And then if you get a commander on your cavalry, you can get a command point. So you can get another action. Then you can always push for another action. So with all these free actions and then other actions, you can get up to 6 or 7 actions. You're usually limited to 3, but free actions don't count. So if you pile on all the free actions, pretty nutty.
And note, skirmishers does not take you back to the original position of the activation. It takes you back to the original position before the the last move, basically, before you shot.
And skirmish is pretty helpful in both cases to get out of a melee. Nobody really wants to get caught in melee, or if you want to duck behind some blocking terrain to not get shot after you do it.
Right.
Really valuable on any cavalry unit that has it.
Yeah, I was thinking about if you wanted to activate on a spade with a inexperienced cav unit, they would get the 2 moves from quick and the horse. They would get a move from the card. They could also get a move from the command point. And then if you wanted to push for another move, it would be 2 fatigue.
Yeah.
But you could go an additional 4 inches if you wanted to for 2 fatigue. But
2 fatigue, 1 for going more than 8 inches with move actions, and 1
for pushing.
Right?
Yeah,
that can be rough.
But that's a long way. That's what
it is.
24 inches.
At least 20. If your skirmishers will give you the 24, but you're going backwards. So
8, 16.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah,
5
20.
moves.
Yeah.
But when you're playing on a 3x4 table, and you have a deployment zone 6 inches or more, you pretty much can reach most of the table within your
Yeah.
with your cavalry at any moment. Which that's one of the fun things we need to talk about is just the psychological effect of having cavalry on the table.
Yes. Many games that I've played with cavalry, somebody makes the comment of, I don't want to do that because there's cavalry over. It's like, okay,
Makes
well,
people play
all right.
different. Was it one of your guys that said he never used his cavalry the whole game, but still won because his opponent played so differently?
That was somebody in the Spanish Discord. He was
Okay, yeah.
asking us for advice on cavalry lists, and we gave it, and we told him to report back after his game, and he came back and he was like, "Oh yeah, they worked really well as a psychological tool. I didn't even do anything with them the whole game, and I still won." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's." I did something similar recently. I was playing a playtest Spanish faction that had cavalry in it, defending a town, and I just held the cavalry in the town, waiting for the Buccaneers to get closer to the town to where I could go out and charge them. But I didn't really do anything with the cavalry until the very end because I didn't want to. They were the Buccaneers were too far away, and all of my guys were trying to stay in the town and defend the town. So I didn't want to leave my cavalry out there to just get shot up. Like as soon as they went out there and hit somebody, I wanted them to be, them to come in closer to where I could conceivably go out, hit somebody, and then get back before I got shot up too much.
That's one of the tricks of cavalry. They don't need to do something dramatic every turn. Okay, they might just skip a whole turn and there to provide a threat to your enemy and safety to your troops and to mess up your enemy so they do less offensive actions. Don't just send them out to get killed right away. Don't do that. And sometimes everybody wants to see their cavalry charge happen, and that's epic. But if you do that, they're all gonna die, which sometimes needs to happen. But you will be disappointed. Also, speaking of psychological, they look scary on the board. A unit of 6 models looks massive. And that
Yeah,
goes both ways. It looks scary to them, and it looks powerful to you. And then when it takes 3 damage casualties, which usually is normal, all of a sudden you're like, my 24 points is gone. But they die. They do die pretty easy.
they
And
do.
just because it looks big, some expectations sometimes need to be adjusted there.
Right. I think most of the time what I use Cav for in a list is to trade a unit
Hmm.
for
Take out
my
a
Cav.
nasty threat. Yeah.
Take out a unit with my Cav, and if I get them back, that's gravy. But I don't really expect them to make it once I actually start doing things with them.
You commit.
In that game that I was talking about where I was defending the town, he brought his command unit up, kind of
Uh-huh.
isolated on the flank and near my cav, and I was like, "Oh, I'm definitely hitting that command unit with this cav and taking it out. I'll trade my cavalry unit for your command unit all day. That's a win for me."
Taking out commanders. Huge. So let's give our general impression of which nation has the best opportunities, and then we'll go through each nation kind of giving their subtleties, what factions they're available in. Not It's mostly the militia factions, right, that have cavalry mounted guys. It's not the Buccaneers, it's not the although that's not always true. It's not the pirates, but it's the militia factions. So we kind of put an order. What's our order of this is kind of could be
It's
argued.
debatable
Yeah.
because I think this is your list, and I think
I don't know if it is. I don't really agree with my own list. See.
I I think Spanish takes the top spot for just general.
I almost think English does though.
You think English do?
We'll get to it, but
Okay, so I
the
th- I
list
think s- I think Spanish have the best cavalry unit,
Mhm. I can
and
probably go with that.
so I think they have the the best conventional way you're going to use cavalry.
If you like cavalry, Spanish is a great place to be.
Yeah, you're just going to take a unit of cavalry along with your other normal list, and you're going to have that as a tool to use to beat your opponent.
But they're more expensive, and we will get to that. But
They
they're the best, but maybe not for the cost. I'm saying.
are the English like that much less expensive?
Well, they're 1 point less expensive because they're all inexperienced, right? And then they have some other bonuses we'll get to. Anyway, here's my
Okay,
list
okay,
I wrote down that I don't agree with anymore.
okay.
Portuguese is probably the craziest, if you min-max, kind of the
If you
craziest
want
cavalry
a all
faction.
like a super duper all
Yeah.
cavalry list, Portuguese is the way you go.
Well, we should mention that there's different ways to use cavalry. You can use a little bit of cavalry for flavor. A lot of factions have cavalry as support unit. That's the most authentic way to use it. But there's several factions that have a force option where you can just do all cavalry, or at least you have to have 2 units and your commander has to be mounted, kind of a mounted patrol force option. So that is, you have to commit to that hobby wise. You got to build a bunch of cavalry. And then it changes your tactics a lot because you have tons of mount stuff, but you don't get to use spades and everybody either. So you don't get the full benefit of them,
Yeah.
of all their fancy stuff. But if you can go crazy on Portuguese, we'll talk about that. And then Spanish is probably next, although I kind of think English might be better for some reason. And then French and then Dutch don't have nearly as many cavalry, and they weren't in North America long. And pirates and natives have 0. So should we go through the Blood and Plunder way in the Spanish, English, French, Dutch, unaligned order, like they always have to be because of the rulebook?
Sure.
Why don't you talk about the Spanish?
So the Spanish, 2 versions of cavalry. You have the caballera and the caballera lancero. So that's super cool right off the bat. You get 2 different types of flavors of cavalry. One of them has brace of pistols, starts out as trained. You can go up to veteran.
Naturally, their unique thing. Nobody else can do that.
Oh, right, because not all of them have the option to go veteran.
Right.
Right.
There's one exception, but in general, or 2 exceptions. In general, Spanish are the only people that can get veteran.
Right. I don't know if you're playing Spanish, I don't know if you'd ever want to do that though, because
I've
there's
done
this little thing called Hidalgo.
it.
And
Well,
that's like
Hidalgo and veteran. And now we're talking.
uh yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm
So the Hidalgo is a character in Raise the Black that gives you a free charge. Or it's a fight and charge or just charge?
it's a free fight or charge. It's a command point to fight or charge.
And it also gives you impulsive, which makes you charge, which loses you a little control.
But impulsive only goes out to 8 inches, right?
Maybe 4.
I think it's 8. I think it's a unit within 8 you have to charge or shoot at.
I think it's within his command range, and his command range is only
Oh, really?
3
Well,
inches.
that's even less of a
And he
big
gets
deal.
swordsman.
Oh yeah,
But it's only for Spanish or Portuguese.
right. Which is why Portuguese getting some of the Spanish special characters is what makes them a little crazy
Yeah.
with their stuff. But anyway, yeah, you get impulsive, but that command point to fight or charge is super nice. Because if you're in melee and you have charged and you have the command point left over, let's just fight again. You know, take your fatigue to fight again, and usually it's worth it.
Only 4 points.
A unit's going to not make it out of that.
Yep.
Yeah, only 4 points. I have a feeling that if I've not seen Spanish do all that well in tournaments, but if they start doing crazy in tournaments, the Hidalgo and the Mission Priest are probably going to go up in points, which would probably be justified.
Fernando won a good tournament with the Spanish army, so they're out there.
Yeah. Did he have a priest in that force?
I don't think so.
Yeah, see, there you
I'm
go.
not sure.
Priest needs to go down in points for
I
Fernando
don't
to
think
use
so.
it.
They have Ruthless, which always helps everything. Always good to have
Right.
Ruthless. And they have Skirmishers, which is upgraded to their mobility as well.
Right. I always like skirmishers on my cavalry. It seems to be a really good combo with them.
And they have quick.
Just all that to me gives the Spanish the best cavalry. The Hidalgo, the skirmishers, the 2 different types that you can use, even though I like one type way better than the other.
Yeah, let's talk about the 2 types real quick. There's a standard one that has brace of pistols, and you can put other things, armor and carbines on them. And then there's the lance guys that you can put brace of pistols and carbines on as well, but they start with just lances. And lances give a penalty when you charge. They're a little more deadly, but they don't get as many hits. But their claim to fame is they have a shoot save, right? Most cavalry have an 8 shoot save, and these guys have a 7, right?
Right. But they're more expensive. You can't make those guys inexperienced.
Really? Are you sure? Can you make
I'm pretty
the
sure
bracelet pistol guys
you can make the bracelet
inexperienced?
pistol guys inexperienced. I know I've done it before, and I was thinking the Lanceros you couldn't.
You
But
can.
I
You're
could
right.
be
You're right.
wrong.
In both cases, pretty sure.
Right. I like being right.
You're right.
Put it up on the big board. Garrett was right.
At your store, along with the summer plunder results.
Yeah. Garrett was right. 1 tick. Joseph was right. 50 ticks.
But the Lanceros have a better fight save, so the Cavalry Lancero is 5-7 for fight, 7-7 for shoot, if they have a, and then 6 resolve, and the normal is 6-6, 7-8, 6. So they have a better shoot save and a better fight, which helps since they don't have that reroll.
Right. But I would rather have the rerolls.
Yep. Though I should mention, when you're doing that, if you ever do double fight with your cavalry with a command point or whatever the case, watch out, because if you use the pistols or melee, it counts as shooting. So then if you fight again, it's 2 fights and 2 shoots. So you'll take 2 fatigue, even if you don't push.
Yeah.
So watch out for that. You might just hack with your sabers on the second swords on the second fight, so you don't take that double fatigue. Or
if you're really sure you're going to fight a second time, just use sabers the first time and then use pistols the second time to really finish them off.
Then you won't shake them. Yeah, sometimes you don't want them to be shaken up.
Right.
Put the light attack first and the heavy attack. That's funny.
I can't charge again.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's 5 factions that can use cavalry for the Spanish.
Both Spanish militia, the No Peace Beyond the Line version, and the Raised Black version, Reformed Spanish militia. You get tercios can use them. Spanish Mission Garrison can also use them, but only the Lance version. And then Spanish Army.
And they're only a support in Spanish Army. But the 2 militia factions, I'm not sure about the tercios. I think they can. The 2 militia factions can take the cinquantine, I hope I'm saying that right, option. They can just do as many cavalry as they want, but the commander must be mounted.
Caballera are core in tercios, and then the Caballera Lancero are support.
Right. But they become core if you use that special force option.
Not in tercios, but...
Okay, sorry. You got it.
Yeah, the Spanish militia, though, yeah, they do.
All right, shall I make my case for the English?
Yes, please. I want to hear this.
All right. In general, stats are not as well. They're different, and these you can use in the English Caribbean militia from No Peace Beyond the Line, American English militia from No Peace Fire on the Frontier, English Expeditionary Force. You can use them as support, but at 1-to-1 in there. The New England militia. They are on Fire on the Frontier, their support, and British militia and Raise the Black. I believe. Not sure if they have this core option or not. But let me look at their stats real quick. They're not as deadly, but they are good nonetheless. So they come at 4 points instead of 5. The Spanish trained at 5. They're 4 points, and they have a 6 fight, 7 fight saves, so not quite as good, and 7-8 for shoot. Offense and defense, and then the 5 resolve, and that combos with other things too. Everything else has a 6 resolve for cavalry, and when you're charging a lot, and in melee a lot, you need a good resolve, partly so you can make the charge when you get hit with defensive fire, and partly you can stay engaged, not shaken. So I think their 5 resolve is a big deal. Their only rules are quick and hard chargers, so they have a 6 fight with hard chargers instead of ruthless or skirmish. So they hit pretty hard. 5 in rerolls, that's pretty good. You're going to get 80% hits, basically, or maybe more. But then if you come look at their 5 resolve with the factions they get to use it on, that's where it gets pretty good. If you really want those cavalry charges. The North American and the English Caribbean militia, their faction rule are once per round you can re-roll a fatigue test. So combine that with their 5 resolve, you pretty much can make a charge even against, as long as it's not too many dice, a defensive attack, and still make the attack. You might lose some models, but you got 5 resolve, and then you got a second chance if you do it pretty bad without taking spending a fortune. And then the New England militia have tough, also helps with your resolve. So that's why I think they're pretty good. They just stay engaged longer. They don't shake as fast, even if they do get whittled down. Takes them. What do you think?
I think you make some pretty good points.
Oh, I have one more thing in my pocket too.
Okay. I do like hard chargers. I think the resolve is big. Man, I hate not having skirmishers though.
Yeah,
Like
it hurts.
I think hard chargers and skirmishers is a wash. Like I like having hard chargers, but I almost would rather have skirmishers than hard chargers.
The Spanish have ruthless, which is pretty much hard charge except better if you can pull
Right.
it off.
And so the resolve thing for charging, I'm not charging my cavalry where somebody can shoot me in defensive fire. I'm just not doing that. Even if I do have resolve, good resolve.
Yeah. You don't want to lose your cavalry, but sometimes it's worth it.
Sometimes it would be, but not. I would try to avoid it as much as possible. But there
Yeah.
are good points for that. I mean, it just plays into how well this game is balanced. I think that you do have these conversations where it's like, well, yeah, this one unit's unique in this one way, and this other unit's unique in this other way, and they're both kind of have good aspects. I think the Spanish Hidalgo kind of puts it over the edge for me too.
That is true.
Like,
Although
I
this English has some interesting characters too. But
okay. What's your thing that you have as a
so
rebuttal?
the other thing for the English is they have this other interesting unit in Raise the Black, the Frontier Militia. This is the British militia faction. Basically, they can be core in the North American militia force options, and these are totally different. Basically, although they have some similarities, they can be equipped with horses at no cost. So they're 5-point model at trained. And you can give horses to them. They are equipped with a firelock musket, which they can't shoot, but they can trade firelock muskets for carbines, which just have no extended range, for free. They have a 6 shoot save to start with. If they're mounted, they get a 7 shoot save, which is the best shoot save for cavalry possible. They have quick and scouts, which is interesting. This is the only place you see this model mounted with scouts. And scouts takes away that penalty of going through rough terrain. Cavalry have an additional penalty to go through rough terrain to start with, so usually it's 2. These guys can move 3 inches through rough terrain, and they have a 5 resolve and a 6 shoot, which most cavalry have a 7 shoot. So they're kind of a totally different beast. No pun intended. Still horses. And their weaponry is different. They can have a pistol sidearm with their carbine or 2 points, but they can't have brace of pistol. But you can give them thrown weapons for 3 points, which you can use in charges all the time, but not in dedicated fights later. They're really good. They're 5 points, which isn't the cheapest, but they're trained. And they do have the quick. They got the scouts. They got the 5 resolve. And they got the 7 shoot save. So they're kind of some of the best cavalry out there if you mount them up. You also can benefit from just using them as like dragoon style. Start on horses, zoom them up where they need to be. Their horses, then you have that solid model in a good place with a 6 shoot save with whatever weapon you want.
Yeah, just use the horses as like a transport and
Yeah.
plop this unit down where you want it.
So that's another pretty cool and good way to use cavalry.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it vies for top spot. And they have, what's this other English character that's really good? It might not be as good because they already have quick, but the Native American emissary is in Find the Frontier for English only. Oh, it's only for drilled. Let's see. British command range. Oh, it's not in Find the Frontier, it's in Raise the Black. You get scouts and quick, so you could put this on your English cavalry, and it gives them scouts. That's not very helpful. Never mind. They already got quick.
Right. Now, if you had a way to give them skirmishers, now we're talking.
That would be. Yeah.
Now we're talking. But I don't know if any English commanders have like guerrilla commander or not.
Yeah, I don't think none come to mind. Benjamin
Yeah,
Church is good
English.
because he has mobile, but he's not gonna do it. Woods Rogers, Reed Eldine has very inspiring. Felicitas, James Moore, cold-blooded, tough, and inspiring. That's good. William Rhett, ruthless, inspiring. Vendetta Pirates. Nope, I don't see any guerrilla commander.
Should we move on to French?
Yep.
French cavalry have, and you only get one type of cavalry with the French. I'm sure it's called something very French that I can't pronounce.
Milice des Cheval or something like that.
Yeah. They have skirmishers and quick for their rules. One of the things that makes them stand out is that shoot skill 6, which you kind of expect the French to have a good shoot skill, and that kind of makes them pretty good with carbines.
And pistols.
Yeah, and the pistols also shooting out a little bit extra range to hit on tins. Most of the time, if you're shooting pistols at range, you're just like hitting on tins.
Yeah.
But there's another cool thing with the French militia factions. You have that free move at the end of an activation.
I think that I just torpedoed that. I think that evil was foreseen. I haven't done it, and I think that is correct. Let me look at that rule, because I think it specifically says not mounted. Aha!
Oh, does it?
Correct. Once per turn, a single unit in this force that is not mounted and not assigned may take a free move action.
Damn.
Nah.
All right.
Well done, Firelock team, not letting us cheat that.
Yeah, not letting us have any fun.
Hmm.
Move the French below the Dutch. They're
That.
terrible now.
The 6 shoot is really good. If you want to make any skirmishing shooting, it's pretty depressing when you're shooting with pistols. If you're at 5 inches, you start at a 7. You get a penalty for range, and you get a penalty for pistols, so you're hitting at 10s. In carbines, you're hitting at 8s at 5 inches away. It makes a big difference to get it down one number for both pistols and carbines. So definitely the shootiest and best skirmishy at range.
And then there is this weird Buccaneer rule that until, an hour ago, I had no idea that this was a rule. And I had looked at this commander before, and I just had never read this on there. Joseph just blew my mind by pointing this out, but I'll let him talk about it.
Yeah, it's just one commander from, I think, the Corp. Well, he's no peace beyond the line.
Yeah, he's in no peace.
He's another French name I can't really say correctly.
Gramont.
Big commander, pretty expensive. He has a not unorthodox force kind of rule. Can equip flibustiers with horses for 4 points.
While mounted, they get a penalty to the fight and shoot save,
which is kind of rough. But you can put filibusters with a Buccaneer gun and a carbine on horses. Pretty cool. And this could be used 2 different ways, as dragoons again, just to get them up there, get them in a good spot and jump off. Or you can use their brace of pistols to wreck face. They have really good stats. They have a 5 resolve, unusual in cavalry, and they have a 5 fight, which is really good. So they can't shoot their muskets, because that's part of the rules of being mounted. And he has Elan, special rule, which kind of is good for melee as well, and very inspiring. But he is 32 points.
I know him from a failed raid on St. Augustine in like the 1680s.
Yeah, he plays large in some of the big raids later in the 1680s.
Yeah, I think it was after his big to do with
Van Horn.
Yeah, and who was the guy that dueled Van Horn?
De Graaf.
Yeah, he raided Veracruz with De Graaf. That's right. And then after that, I think he tried to raid St. Augustine, put some guys off on shore to attack the little watchtower in Matanzas, and then they got their asses handed to them, and he never materialized past that.
Somebody made a whole campaign for that action years ago. Oliver, I think, that needs to see the light of day eventually.
Fun. Yeah, I know. I need to talk to him about that, because I could maybe help him out and get some of that going. But I've read some of that. I think he did that one first.
Anyway, the French, their claim to fame is they have a 6 shoot, and they have this weird thing if you want to pay a lot for that commander. They got French Buccaneers, can have them, sort of. A French Caribbean militia, no peace beyond the line, and black, that's your main thing. They have that mounted force that can do all cavalry if they want.
And of course, French expeditionary forces can take cavalry as support.
The Dutch are kind of they don't have a lot of cavalry going on. Their unit has quick and no other special rules. So no hard charges, skirmishers, and they only get 2 forces with it. Dutch Caribbean militia from No Peace Beyond the Line. The Raise the Black version does not have it. And they do have the mounted patrol, so their military cavalry, whatever, become core units, so they can do that all cavalry if they want to. Their cavalry stats are 5, 7, 7, 8. So they have a really good fight, but they don't have. So it's kind of better than having hard chargers, really, with 6. So they're not too shabby. They hit hard enough, brace of pistols, but they don't have a lot else going on. They can have carbines, they can be trained, and they can add armor. That's it.
Yeah.
They do combo well with one of their faction rules. The Dutch Caribbean militia have the Zealander faction, where they can reroll a single failed fatigue dice when attacking within 6 inches, which is where cavalry like to be. So even though they have 6 resolve, they're a little bit tougher that force option. That's it for Dutch.
Yep. And then, so the unaligned category has a couple of factions that can take cavalry. Of note, the Portuguese can take cavalry.
Yeah.
They can take European militia cavalry as core. This is a 3-point inexperienced militia cavalry.
This is kind of nutty. This unit is cheaper than everything else, and then when the price discount came through, it reduced them as well.
Yeah, most everything went from 5 to 4, but these guys went from 4 to 3.
Which is pretty much as cheap as any unit gets. So getting a 3-point unit that can do all these fancy things.
Yeah. They have a
Is
fight of
remarkable.
6, 7. They have shoot of 7, 8, and they have a resolve of 6. So basic stats for cavalry.
Not as good at
They can add
fighting.
armor, they can add carbines, and they can upgrade to trained. And their only special rule is quick.
So they are kind of the worst, but they're so cheap.
They're so cheap. And Portuguese get those characters like Hidalgo, and the 2 Portuguese factions that you get them with, all core units in this force add the drilled special rule at no cost.
For whatever reason.
And for whatever reason, but guess who needs the drilled special rule to go into a unit? A Reformado, which is basically like almost a better Hidalgo.
It's officer for 4s out of 10. Yeah.
So if you want to spend money, if you want to spend your points on a Hidalgo, a Reformado, and an officer, and your commander, there's 4 cav units with a command point that you can use that almost act like trained cavalry out there.
You're sure to lose all your friends once you play that force against them.
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah, if you just look at these, it's like they have similar stats to pirates. Pirates have brace of pistols. There's 3 points and they're trained. These guys would be 3 points inexperienced and brace of pistols, but they're also mounted. So this is like the super mobile pirate swarm, basically. If you
And
want
you
to
can
go
get all of
crazy.
those extra characters. That's the kicker.
Yeah.
I don't think they would be all that powerful if you couldn't take, you know, a commander, a Reformado, a Hidalgo, and an officer.
You're paying more at that point, but you aren't paying the full price for upgrading to trained. And it's really better than trained in some ways to have that command point, which has extra flexibility. So yeah, if you want to go all cavalry, which we aren't recommending you do, but if you like cavalry,
And if you
can
like
do this.
friends, if you like people to play Blood and Plunder with, you probably shouldn't do that. Or you
Not
should
too
say
much.
ahead of time, like, "Hey, I'm gonna try something really stupid that's gonna be like super cheesy, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun for me."
Yeah. I have played a few games against people running all cavalry, and it's terrifying. And usually, if the cavalry start to get shaken, then it's just they can't control where they go, and they just get shot down because their saves are so bad.
Yeah,
But you gotta keep your men together so you have defensive fire picked off.
get in a house somewhere.
This is what we wanted to try at Adepticon. We never got a
Yeah,
full 200-point force of 60 cavalry. It's so
I wanted
terrifying.
to try it because there were enough people there that had cavalry that I could like
Yeah.
get a full painted force on the board. That would have been awesome. Maybe next year.
Yeah, even at the more affordable plastic prices, there's 6 cavalry in a box for $29. If you could do 60, you got $300 for cavalry models. So you aren't going to need that often.
I do want to see, and this is a call out to, I want to see a redo of the rearing guy with the sword
Yeah, that model's cool.
on the fort. I like, give me that in a 3D printed cav
Hmm.
model. Come on.
That'd be cool.
It would be cool to have just a single guy. Just sell it as the Hidalgo or something. You know they're only putting those in cavalry units anyway.
That's true. I wonder if that could happen.
I
That'd be
did.
fun.
I put him in sometimes warriors and Lysianos Indios. Sometimes he's pretty good in those units.
Well, let's finish out the last faction here that can use cavalry, and that's the Scottish militia in the minor powers.
They can use that same cheap European cavalry unit.
Same stats. Their faction only has them as support. It's in no peace beyond the line, and their faction gains quick and brawlers. They are quick, but brawlers makes them a little bit more useful. Scottish militia is a favorite faction. Quite a few folks. It's fun to do that, and cavalry is a good part of that, but you can't go crazy.
A lot of people play Scottish militia.
They do, yeah. Every summer plunder, there's a vocal few who like to play a lot of Scottish militia. Everybody likes the Scottish.
I don't, but good for them.
All right, we've already touched on a lot of these basic tactics, but let's just run over these real quick. We're getting a little bit long here.
Yeah.
Terrorize your opponent. Having that flexibility, that speed, no one is safe on the board, and that does make people play more conservative and differently. Nobody wants to lose an important unit,
Right,
to a unit that can charge across the.
you can eliminate a problem, or as I said before, trade a unit for your cav unit that is way better than your cav unit.
Bishop for queen.
Absolutely. But you got to be ready to sacrifice them if you're going to use that, because if you do charge with these guys and you put them in a hairy situation, they don't tend to stay very intact.
Yeah, but you can use them kind of as a bait too. If you go charging, you know you're going to take that unit out effectively, but it's going to take another unit getting into a vulnerable position. You can try to trade 2 for 1 too. But yeah, you're usually often going to get eliminated if you're just using it as like one piece of your board. I think all cavalry is kind of a whole different game. I don't have a lot of advice, but if you're using it as a tool in your army, this is advice for that.
That's my favorite way to use cav, is just to have one unit as a tool, and because I like my other units too, and I play Spanish, so I like having a lot of different units on the board that have a lot of different purposes, different tools in the list.
Nobody likes to play this way, but they are really just good for grabbing objectives. There's a lot of scenarios that reward you for taking a certain point or moving to a certain space. And these guys can do it, especially if you are able to play last in a turn. If you want to get gamey and try to push that opponent over the 2 strike point limit, as far compared to you could activate them last, and zoom out and grab that take and hold or objective and make them roll for a strike test. Might be risky. And they also just look really cool on the board, so they're worth playing just that.
Mm-hmm.
We should talk about the kit real quick, though. The plastic kit is how you can get them right now. There used to be metal ones, which were cool, but a little bit messier and quite expensive. Plastic kit, it has lances, which is the only place to get the lance models. Got to be careful, the lances are a little bit long and breakable, but they do glue.
Yeah.
I have glued mine. Don't let other people use your cavalry models, though. They'll break them. But the annoying thing is the reins don't precisely match up with a horse, so the arms don't precisely connect to the bridle on the horse. So if you're having that experience, know that I did. You can put a little green stuff in to connect it, or you can just, they aren't as precise as I wish.
Yeah. I just ignore it.
Yeah, me too. But they have some good hats, some good heads, good poses.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of variety on the different heads on the cavalry models and the hats and stuff, which is nice.
And you can pull parts from other militia and stuff, although not really the body.
That's true.
Final thoughts?
I like them. They've not been in my wheelhouse for my entire time of playing Blood and Plunder, but lately I've been finding them coming into my lists more and more often. So
yeah, they're a unique corner of the game, but definitely worth exploring and doing it more than once, because if you have a bad experience the first time, just keep toying with it. They aren't necessarily overpowered. They aren't the most strong thing. You got to use them with care. Can be powerful if you use them well, but as a good game should be, they aren't blunt stick to destroy everything.
They aren't going to win you games if you just put them on the table.
No. And I think just going into the game with the right expectations helps you enjoy them too. We have a huge article that Jason wrote that I didn't look at right before this, just so I would have my own thoughts. But he has he's done a lot of cavalry play, so I recommend you look up Cavalry on Blood and Pigment and more cavalry talk than this, or a different person's take. That's a great article.
Yeah. So you want to get events wrapped up real quick and get out of here?
We should. All right. Well, you're running Gen Con in early August.
Yeah, Gen Con July 31st through August 3rd. I think we've got a tournament set for early on in the convention. It is going to be a C tournament. I've got 5 people I know of signed up for tickets right now from what I can see from my end on the Gen Con list. We need to get that number up. We're also running a fleet battle, which it may be fun to run Fickle C for that. I've not
Might
thought
as
about
well.
that until right now, but yeah, that may happen. I don't know. Might throw some bad weather in there.
Oh, in our Fickle C game, we had somebody hit a shoal with a shallow draft 5 draft ship. They got 2 10s. That was great. And somebody said that will never happen. You're fine.
2 10s in a row.
Yeah. Well, you just
Awesome.
roll 2 dice.
Oh, okay.
With a shallow draft. That was good. And then Jason will be at NashCon. Mike said he might be there even as well. At least one day, NashCon. Yeah,
as long as I don't have a baby by then, I'll be there.
Mm-hmm. Nashville, Tennessee, August 14th to 17th.
I think we're planning on having a C tournament there as well, and some demos for. I know Jason's been doing a lot of stuff with Port Royal, and then we're also going to have Blood and Plunder demos and event games there as well.
There's Nova Open near the end of the season, August 27th through 31st in the Washington, D.C. area. Quite a few events there, including a couple, at least one tournament, maybe 2, I think. So that should be good. I think Timothy Stone is heading that up. Keep an eye on the Firelock website. They're pushing some new things out. Those Port Royal kits, 7 minis for each team if you want to get a kind of a nice, easy Port Royal force. They're not cheap. They have cool little objective tokens. And then they put up all the Baron of Dice up there for Oak and Iron and Blood and Plunder. Port Royal, they have that special commander dice, which is useful for the way Port Royal works. You have all your dice that are the nationality of color for your nation and the symbol for the 10, and then you get the special dice that's different that has the commander symbol. It's useful. And they aren't that expensive for what they are. They're really nice.
Yeah, they're pretty nice dice.
Yeah, I mean, dice are dice. You can just use the 10-cent ones or 25-cent ones. It's fine. But if you are the discerning gamer and want the finest of the best, these are quite nice. And it's nice to have, if you really like playing your Dutch. They have orange dice with lions on. And Firelock's still running their free Drunk Pirate. Unnamed, mysteriously looking Drunk Pirate. If you order $100, you get free Drunk Pirate mini, which they had at Adepticon this year. Which I did a post on. You can see him painted up on Blood and Pigment if you search Drunk Pirate.
And for more Blood and Plunder content, you can go to bloodandpigment.com and check out all the material we have there. We have articles on ships, nations, factions, terrain, painting guides, battle reports, anything you can think of, really. So go check it out.
And I'll try to get something out on YouTube soon as well. I've been putting some shorts of some of our battles. Hopefully those are popping up in your YouTube if you're subscribed. And I have a couple of battle reports and a big folder of 25 gigabytes to go real soon. And if you appreciate our content, we are always grateful if you sign up on our Patreon. We love it when you give us suggestions for different topics to cover, like this extravaganza today.
And as always, keep your dice ready to win at your back, yar har.